This is the second video, and portion of this shows that when you start the application up, you're on the history of everything and video help. As we build more video helps, they'll be added to the list here. The basic one is now included. Now what we're going to do is we're going to show you in the next screen how you actually set up the individual records. Let's start over here and go down and go to the history of everything main, and you'll see the supporting screens are the history of everything portal, the photos portal, and the history list view, and we'll be covering those in this video. Okay, so let's go down, pick the main. Last time we ran the overview video, we were looking at the screen for Napoleon Bonaparte, who was the emperor during the late 1800s, early 1800s, pardon me, and the end of the 1700s. And basically, when you create the record, you're creating a new record by add record. Now, this is the only screen where you add records, and this is the primary or parent screen. The screens that are considered portals, like these portals here, are all subscreens with subtopics, and they are a slider. For example, if I go in here and I scroll down, you'll see I got a blank new record here. And when I added a blank new record here, it popped to the top of the screen so I can put in information, start adding that information for the next topic. What is a topic? A topic is a piece of information that is related to, in this particular case, in this record, the Kyle Busch NASCAR driver in the race team, where he was winning the truck championship for owners in the year 2016, which was presented on November 28th, 2016 to Kyle Busch as the team owner for the particular race team car trucks. Now you can have any topic you want in here. In this particular case, the first thing you add is the person's name or person's name and a subject. In this case, it's NASCAR driver Kyle Busch. The history type is NASCAR Kyle Busch Motorsports Racing for the year 2016, which the end date of this particular record where it finished, this was the 2016 for trucks for the motorsports team, and it ended November 28th when he was awarded the owner's championship for that in 2016. Now you can have any subject you want. The primary or parent record is the starting place for doing a new record. If you click on the add new record, all the fields will be emptied and you'll have blank screens. There would be no theme in the background. You could add, first thing you would do is add your own theme by saying insert a picture. Now this is done on the desktop. You can also put an audio file in there, only one, not more than one. Video's kind of a tough road to hoe. If you have a lot of room in your device like an iPad or an iPhone, it would be okay probably to have some videos in here as well. But if you're inserting, you can also insert a PDF or insert a file. In the case of the file, it's not really a good idea because all it's doing is a holder for a file. And if you move the file, then it loses the link. But if there's a PDF record out there and it's on your desktop, you can actually go out and reach to it and put it into this area, and you can scroll the PDF to read it. So it's really up to you how you want to do this. Most people would put a picture in here by inserting it and clicking on insert, and then it go out to the desktop. In the case of the desktop, which I'm on an iMac, and on the iMac, what I would do is I would go to the pictures wherever they're at and then say insert it, and it would insert it in this particular area. In this case, I'm just going to cancel because I already got a photo in there. And we also said already that we covered these with the subject and name, what the history is, and this. Now what I've done is I've gone to a website doing a search, and this was explained earlier in the detail information on the iTunes detail page. You can enter a topic, name, and description for this particular screen. And then in the subscreens, which we're going to address now, if you go over to the subscreens, you can add the information where it says topic notes. So if I went in here and I created a new record like I did here and called it test, I could put another one in it that says test 2, and they're separate from one another. You can see that each piece of information you're adding in here builds on whatever you've already put in here to create a topic summary for a subtopic. So a subtopic is either a description or a topic. Say for example, I wanted to pick one race or two races out of the season to earmark those, or I wanted to put a lot of information in there. It could be any kind of a thing. In this case, say like this is a recipe, and I'm writing a recipe, and I want, say, chicken soup. and then I want to have a chicken other dish in here and another chicken dish, I can do as many as I want, making the topic at the top level in the main screen as chicken dishes. And time-wise, as far as the date is concerned, you could put in the year and the date that you actually added them, so you'll know that these have a chronological date on them so you can tell what they are. And then you can come over here and you could say, for example, topic name is chicken dishes for wintertime meals, and or whatever you want in there, and you could describe that, and that would be the parent record for the chicken dinners. And over here, in this case, it'd be description, maybe your own name, and saying preparing chicken dinners. And the history type would be winter dinner for chicken dishes or something to that effect, whatever you want, the words you want to have on there. Then if you wanted to create another new record about some other subject, you would do the add record, and it would come out with another blank record. Okay, let's go over here and take a look at this. On this screen, the basic input on this screen fills other screens. So you have access to adding new data and new subrecords. You can also, for example, if this is a history thing like Napoleon was, I could click on the location map, and it's especially good if you have this little guy here in Google Maps, because what you can do is you can drag him over and say, for example, you're talking about a war that Napoleon did, and you wanted to show where it was particularly at in, say, for example, if I wanted to take it to Paris, I could zoom it up and see where Paris is at. In this particular case, if you do it at random, it could be about anywhere. I just threw it up there, and look at this. Got a really nice looking thing here. To go back from De La Cruz, I would just say go ahead and arrow it back, and then if I wanted to really get clever, I'd move in and I'd go to Paris, and I could just throw it anywhere in Paris, or I could put the address specific to where I want to go. For example, if I put Place Vendôme in Paris, I'd say Place Vendôme, Paris, France, and it would zoom right in on it. Or what you can do is keep on zooming in until you actually, if you know where Place Vendôme is in Paris, you can go ahead and keep on saying add, and go in and go to Paris. Now this is stuff that you should know already if you own a product like Google Maps, and you can make your way around and find things. Or you can just drop this little guy in at a certain place and get a good view of where you want to be. So there's Paris, for example. I can just grab him and put him right in there. And there you go. You're going to go over and now look at this. Almost anywhere you drop it in Paris, you get an interesting looking scene. It's such a beautiful country and city, Paris is. Okay, back to what we want to do next, references. This is to get a place particular to where you might want to go and maybe capture that image on the screen. If you have a screen capture software, you can go ahead and use that to go ahead and screen capture it. Or what you can do is go to the website for this particular name and search for it and type it in here in Google, and it'll take you right to that location. And you could see it. If you know exactly where you're going, say you're reading it from some kind of history, when you did the search, for example, I could put in Paris, France, Place Vendôme, and it would take me right to it. So you have a lot of ways to get where you want to go. I'm going to show you something that I added. Now, even though they're in this screen, I'll warn you, you have to have requires an internet connection. So if you have an iPhone, that's not a problem. If you have Wi-Fi or 3G, 4G, LTE, then you can probably get a Wi-Fi connection, or if you're like on an iPad, unless you have a iPad that includes Wi-Fi with it. But then you would just type things in. Now, if you don't have a Wi-Fi connection or you don't have 3G, 4G, LTE, then this is going to stay white until you actually have an internet connection, and that's why I'm showing that. And the same thing goes for the location map. Now look how pretty that is. It came right back with a great image. And it was, I guess it was going back and redoing it for the colors and all that. Now, I have a little thing I've added in here. Now we got the topic, the location map, the reference search, and then we have a photo thing. Now, in the case of Kyle Busch, this is his subrecord for that particular record that we were looking at, and you can tell that by the ID number here. At the same time, the source of this photo, in this case, the number 9 team, which is the truck he owns in the Owners' Championship, and this is the dinner picture where he was at when he got awarded the trophy for the Owners' Trophy. And the way this is put in, you can go ahead and insert a picture if you have it on the desktop. Now on the iPad and iPhone, it'll look a little bit different. It'll just say pictures, and you can click on it, or it'll say remove, and you can replace it. And there are some things that are different we showed you in the first video. Okay, now there's a photo comments where you can put as much in here as far as you want. Now, you cannot search within this portal, but you can go over to this portal as an individual record and search for individual pictures that are important that you want to use. And this particular thing I mentioned in the introduction in iTunes about this. Here's a photo URL. And what I did is I took the ID for the actual page itself, in this case, where this one was an actual image ID. And when you do that, if you click on Open Website, it'll show what website if you have to edit it, and then you can go in, and it doesn't show on this screen. It's putting it in this case, because I'm not on the iPad, I'm working within a desktop version. The screen that comes up would be this particular image on the screen where that comes from. And then you would see it. If you're on the iPad, it'll just pop up to the place where this website is and show you that particular image that came from the website. Now, if you have your own personal pictures, obviously you can go to the video library or your photos and add those in by saying insert. When you click on it, insert picture. And in the case of the iPad or iPhone, go to your photo library and pull it. Now here's something else over on this side. You're using this, go to website, and you're using this differently. What this does, this allows you to add any URL that you want to that you've visited in a past screen or search, and this is global for the entire application. Now let me point out that when you create the first new record and the first images that you're adding, this will stay blank until you go in and click on the edit button, and then it's going to take you to another screen, which is this screen over here, where you add, for example, I put in Kyle Busch Facebook and then NASCAR website. That's where these two pictures came from. If I wanted to add the ID that I want the web URL to go to, either the picture itself or the web page where it came from, I would take the URL out of the browser at the top, and then I'd put it in here, paste it, copy and paste it in here off your iPad, off your iPhone, or from the, say for example, it could be Google, where you brought it in from, where we had that. Now, let me point out, Google has to be on a desktop in order to get a URL header at the top. So it doesn't have to do that on an image, but it does on the actual website. So you may have to have, say for example, your desktop or either Safari or Google up on your screen to search for the URLs for the actual website. If you once put it in here, for example, Google's in there. Now, I put Google in so you can go back. If you go from here, you can go back to Google, and you can go ahead and put in a subject, and it would take you to that particular URL for that particular thing you put in. For example, if I put On Target Solution, which is my website, then it would know when I did that to take me to that particular website using the application input area where the Google screen comes at. So let's go over and look at that. I'm going to go back over here. If I bring up the subtopics and I go over to the area where we're going to do reference search, or in case of locate, this would always be available to you. So for example, if I wanted number 9 championship, I could either do it on the website for NASCAR, or I can go out to Kyle Busch's Facebook page or anything like that. Once I go there, then I can take the information from there and then bring it down. And of course, within the Google screen, you have all kinds of things that you can go to, like images, Google Plus, Maps, Play, all the things that are included. The More has a lot more in there too that you can go to and look for. And that's always available to you, especially when you can come over here and you can say, go to Google, and it'll pop Google up for you from the first listing here. I just put a test record in and some other things. So if I wanted to see Kyle Busch's face page, I would go in here and I'd see, okay, it's in there. Facebook is in there. I found it. And I could do Facebook Kyle Busch, and in the main screen in here on Google as a reference search. And of course, it would take me to his Facebook site. Okay, let's go back over and kind of finish up with this particular thing. So this is how you do it. Now what's going to happen, I explain again. If you say, for example, when I went to look for this picture, I came over and I either edited and added the URL to bring up the picture, or I clicked on open, which I can highlight anything here like NASCAR. I can highlight it and then say open. And you won't see it on this screen because it's actually popping up on a companion screen that I got to my right, where it's actually showing the thing. And for example, if I drug it over here real quick, you'd see, there it is right there. And the URL, of course, is at the top of the screen, so you can get it that way as well if it came up on your default browser. There's a lot of things you can do. So let's recap on that. You highlight any record URL and say open. It'll open that particular URL for you. So virtually having all these in here would make it very easy to find what you're looking for and open it. So that's what I recommend you do. Okay, in order to close these screens, you can always just go over, either click the button here or click any open area, and it'll bring it back up on your screen so you don't have to go searching around and looking all over the place for stuff. Let's go now to the main app map, and I'm going to come down here and I'm going to show you the portal record that we visited before. And I talked a little bit, you can delete a record if you have to, and of course this is Kyle Bush's record because that was the current record we were viewing when we changed. If you were in the Napoleon record and you came in here, then it would be the Napoleon screen that would come up. So you don't have to go looking through. The history of everything portal is what we're in now. Now we're going to go to the photo portal, which is a larger view of the images that we were just looking at in the other screen. And if you were in the photos area and you clicked on the individual portal record where it says portal in that record, it would take you to that particular record screen by clicking the portal button. If you needed to delete it, you could delete it here. You can see what the record is and the reference to it and the photo comments that you created within that portal for that photo. Now let's go to the very last thing, and this should cover all of the videos we're going to be doing except for some advanced stuff in the last video. Now this is called a list view. In this case it's the history list view. And when you come in, it has the person's name or subject in here. So this is all the different ones. This is all the current records that are available to you. So you don't have to really have a difficult time finding something. You can also go into do action and you can say start a find for particular records. This is if you have hundreds of records. Otherwise you can just scroll and find the one you're looking for. Once you've done the look for it, for example, I can put in, this thing comes up, I could put in the NASCAR. Let's go back over here again into the photo portal. I could go in the do action and put in a thing to search for, like start a find, perform a find. And in this case, when I'm in the list view, let's go back over the list view. When I'm in the list view, you can do next, prior, and so forth by using these. So if I said go first, go next, go prior, go last, omit a record. What an omitted record does is if you highlight any record by clicking in it and then say omit it, it's going to take the record that you're looking at and take it out of the list. So it's now omitted. If I went back and I said, okay, I only want to see the omitted records, I'd say show omitted only, and only that record would show. If I want to do a find and find a particular record that has a certain word in it, like this one has rose garden. In fact, let's go look at that so we can see. Rose garden is about example records where you can do rose gardens. In this case, it's tea roses and the history of tea roses and whatever different roses you want to do. So by adding a topic in here, so a subtopic of roses, you could have all the information about roses. Now I got this at the IPedia. In this case, it should have that in there and list all the information about this particular thing. Now, if I hit the portal, again, it's going to bring up the portal. Let's go back in and look at the last thing, which I'm going to do in list view, is I say, I'm done working on these and I don't want to go edit anymore, but I want to show all the records. So I come down here and I say show all the records and they all return. Now this is very important. If you're doing a find and you have a subset of records that you're working with, you need to put show all, or maybe when the next time you come back you're only going to see one or two records and you're going to wonder why. Well, you need to, after you do a find, to come back and make sure that you show all the records so you can bring them back. Okay, the next thing is print. This is a little different depending on what you're on, either on the iPad or iPhone, but it's pretty much your default type of printing. You need a Wi-Fi printer with an iPhone or an iPad, but on the desktop you have options like doing a PDF and stuff like that. If you have FM Go, which is another product for working applications like this on the desktop or on the For the desktop, it would be FM Go. That allows you to do a lot of extra stuff that is entitled to work on an iTunes, iPad, or iPhone. When you click the printer, it'll bring up the secondary dialog to say how you want to print it and everything. The same thing occurs on the iPad. You have a little bit more options on the iPad using FM Go. FM Go allows you to create a PDF. It also allows you to include whatever screen you're viewing for 8.5 by 11 size of a piece of paper, or whatever you designate as far as the paper size. It will allow you to print it or send it as a PDF in an email, or save it as a PDF. And you have the ability, if you're looking at something like we're here within this, we can do a search for whatever information we want to have, that we want to see. Once it's in selection, then you can go ahead and either print it or export it. Let's go back and show you that. On the export for do action, you go down here, and now you're allowed to export the data either by fields. Now it's going to be a little different the way that this works. You have to pick the kind of output you want. Tabbed eliminated is a very one that most people commonly use. Comma, you'd have to have a specific need where comma would be between each piece of information. DBF is not used that much more anymore. Merge is where you go to a word processing document and you want to merge data to your document on, say, Microsoft Office. HTML for web pages if you want to take information. FileMaker Pro, if you own FileMaker and you want to create records of a new bunch of records from this application, you can export them as FileMaker fields and data, and then you can add them. And one of the most popular ones is, and you can probably not see it because I have to lift this up, is Excel. And Excel is probably one of the most popular, where you can take columns that are already set up with the data by the subject items. Now, when you're using export in the iDevices, just like here, you would go ahead and say save, and what it would do is it would create another dialog and allows you to move the fields and data from the file that you're currently in. You have to be in something like a list view or a portal in order to export the data. And when you're in something like a portal, or maybe the main record even, it will only take data from the record you're actually viewing. So the fields outside of portals are not something you can, for all the portals, like the actual physical portal, like this would be a portal, you cannot export from a portal. Let's go talk about that. Let's go ahead and say cancel this and go to a portal. A portal record is, for example, anything that is down below this, and this should show a portal. This is a portal. You have to be in the individual portal records to start a search for the data you want. You cannot do it in a direct portal. So you'd have to come over to the portal and then be in this to start a export, and also to do a find, to find particular records to set up in that particular export. Now, for a desktop or the cloud, you can import records. For the iDevices, iPhone, iPad, they did not have the facility to import into the iPad for those devices. Particularly this is for the desktop, and it is for the cloud if you have the cloud application version of this app. So with that being said, this pretty well covers everything as far as using the application. Now, I want to point out that you can contact us through technical support using our ontargetsolutions.biz URL. Go ahead and put that in your browser, and in the ontarget.biz, you will go ahead and, let's go up here. It's actually included in the topic area over here. So if you go into the portal over here, now I have to go to a record where we actually have some data in it. So what I have to do here is back out. Now this is a good thing that happened, so I can actually show you. You would go over to list view, and I'd pick something like Napoleon where I have data in here. Then I would go into the portal record over here, go into the photo portal, and then there's Google right there, for example. If that's what I need to do, and then you go down here, you'll notice that this is our website. So it's http:// That's required. You have to put that in there so URLs function. You'll see outside of this one that we were using for testing, these have to be there. Now, I would not throw these away, or I would overwrite them if you want something else in there. So for example, if you didn't want this record, or you didn't want the test record, what I would do is go ahead and say edit it, and you'll see it'll put it up here. Then you can edit that particular information and change that to whatever URL you want it to be. And this is always available to you, so you can edit any of these URLs that are currently in here. This is the only other add record where you have to put in a record button. So say for example I wanted to add a new row in here, I would click on add record, and it would add a new blank record in here where I could add a new URL for that photos area that we were in. And then you can navigate back to it and navigate over here, and now you have a pretty good idea of just about everything that's available in the application and navigating around and how to get to where you want to, including opening websites, highlighting and opening. Any other things that you may want to do if you get stuck, just go ahead and go to our website and start a chat. And we have our primary way to do support is through the chat. Our secondary, which is using Skype, where we can get online if you're having a lot of issues or even issues and need help, that we can walk you through using the app on the screen so you can see how to properly use it if you're having issues with it. Okay, and once again, if you wanted to do a portal view and search within a portal, you can use the do action button to move through and do things. And you can also delete items in here, as far as deleting a photo if you do not want it any longer. It'll take the whole record out for that particular picture that you're looking at. Okay? Okay, this finishes the video help. So if you're going to have a need, go ahead and go to the ontargetsolutions.biz to ask questions or get additional information. Thank you.